Do you know where the term student athlete comes from? Most people don't, including many of the decision makers who will decide the future of college sports. The term student athlete appears in the NCAA Division I manual over 3,500 times. It effortlessly rolls off the tongues of federal judges, Congress members, sports media, and the general public, and has become a symbol of the integrity of college sports and the purity of amateurism. However, the term was invented out of thin air in the 1950s by NCAA President Walter Byers and NCAA lawyers to avoid paying workers' compensation benefits to the widow of a football player who died after sustaining injuries during a game. In order to be eligible for workers' compensation benefits, you first have to prove that you're an employee. Byers and NCAA lawyers inserted the term student athlete into the language of college sports to mean the opposite of employee. This is how the NCAA uses the term for legal purposes in suits and administrative proceedings where any remedy requires employee status. In 1995, after retiring from the NCAA, Walter Byers wrote a book titled Unsportsmanlike Conduct: Exploiting College Athletes. Byers, the man who invented the term, said it was nothing more than a ploy to avoid legal liability. In 2021, Jennifer Abruzzo, the general counsel for the National Labor Relations Board, issued a policy memorandum saying that the use of the term student athlete was an unlawful labor practice because it led athletes to believe that they had no protectable labor rights. Ms. Abruzzo refused to use the term student athlete in her memo. On March 12, 2024, a former member of the National Labor Relations Board, Mark Gaston Pierce, educated lawmakers on the history and purpose of the term student athlete.
The term student athlete was coined by the NCAA's president and legal team in 1950 as part of a legal strategy designed to avoid paying a workers' compensation claim to the widow of a football player who died after an injury sustained in a game. The term persists in NCAA and university legal strategies to perpetuate the myth of purity of amateurism.
Mr. Pearson, you mentioned the case in 1950 where the NCAA defined student athlete. I did not realize that what you said in your testimony was student athlete was put in place to protect the institution, the NCAA, from potential lawsuit from somebody. Could you elaborate on that?
It was a defensive strategy on the part of the NCAA in the 1950s to preserve it from lawsuits. It was the concern about liability, not the whole notion of the purity of amateurism that was the motivating factor.
As the video illustrates, members of Congress have no idea of the true purpose of the term student athlete. Continued use of that term by the NCAA and nearly all college sports stakeholders is an affront to athletes' rights. It is a term of dominance and oppression, and athletes should refuse to use it. For more, follow DYK.